Hey, everybody, welcome to the Fertility Confidence Podcast and welcome to my amazing, amazing guest, Emily Elliot.
Hello, hello. So happy to be here today.
Why don't you share with us and with the listeners who you are and what you're all about and what you have to offer for us today?
You got it. So, my name is Emily, and I am a former naturopathic doctor. I actually went to school with Kelsey at the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine. I always thought Kelsey was so cool and so on it. Like when I'd be writing my exams, I'd watch Kelsey from the front, and she had this like killer confidence with exams. She'd just be like, racing through and like she knew she was so confident in her answers. She was the first one out of the room every time. And in my exam, I'd be like, I'm just gonna channel Kelsey confidence.
I just wanted to get out of there.
So that's a side note. Um, I've had a really diverse path just professionally. I've worked in marketing for a number of years. I went across Canada training on makeup and cosmetics. Did my yoga teacher training, switched in to be a doctor, did the doctor thing for a few years, and then had to have a crazy leap of courage to drop my license. Now I am the founder of the Magnetized Mindset Coaching Method, and I work with women to help overcome limiting beliefs that are holding them back from everything they want in life and help them create a life that they can't wait to wake up to. So that is my aligned work. And I'm just someone, it's got to feel good for me to do it. If it doesn't feel good, I don't do it. And that kind of leads to my every waking breath in this life. So that's a 101.
I love that. And that's why I was so excited about having this conversation because you know that I'm personally very much into the energetics of things and human
Yeah.
design and living my aligned life. And I'm always, when I'm doing my own personal mindset work and study, my brain, because this is clearly just who I am, is like, how do I take this back to my clients? How do I bring this to the fertility world? And I've always struggled, like there's always been this limiting belief probably around how do we talk about this in the fertility space that's in a very safe and nurturing way and not in a blaming or you understand. And
Of
so I
course.
think that this will be a really good conversation to kind of dig deeper into how can this work that is maybe a little bit less traditional in the
Sure.
sense of supporting your fertility journey, but something that I've definitely seen with my clients and in Fertility Confidence Method being probably the most important part at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. Okay, so let's chat about. Well, first, I want to make a little bit of like a soft disclaimer. I want everyone to know that this is not a totalistic view here. We're not saying if you have perfect mindset, everything's going to go perfectly. What we're saying here is we're talking about the crux of holistic medicine, which is that we need to look at every piece of the pie. We need them all working together. Those vitamin and mineral balances, the environment you live in, your mindset. So we're looking today at a piece of the pie because I think it's dangerous when people say to us as women in our fertility dinner, well, have you just done blank? As if like that's going to be the thing, right? So I really like to say that keep focusing on every piece of the pie. And this is a huge piece that sometimes is missing, right?
Mhm.
So I guess the best way to think about our mind body connection, think of how many times in a day you're instructing your body and your body listens. So I'm going to get up now and I'm going to go walk and get a drink. You tell your legs what to do, right? My eyes feel dry. I'm going to blink and give them a bit of hydration. I need to go to the washroom. I'm going to release urine, right? Like we are
Can you
literally
please
getting
teach my daughter, like, to listen to that a bit better?
we'll do mindset for kids next.
Yeah.
So like we kind of take for granted all these miracles we're creating with our body and our mind every day. We forget, right?
Because it's like robot mode.
Right. It's like the
Mhm.
subconscious mind is just doing it. We don't have to think about it. So the more we see it in the subconscious mind that, hey, body, you're doing this for me. We're working together. I see you. Like we're going to work in unison here. we're not always thinking of like our bellies, our ovaries, our all these things. So when you look at the day-to-day instructions and how the body follows, it can really show you, hey, other parts of my body are probably listening too. So that's a really big part. We need to like hone in on the mind body connection. And secondly, it's like we forget how much of our mind is operating without us even knowing it. So
Mhm.
we think we're in control. We're like, I see a red rose. The red rose is beautiful. But all day long, there's these other thoughts in the back of our head that's like, oh my gosh, I'm behind on the fertility journey. So and so just got pregnant. Like there's these narratives we're not even tuning into. And they actually make up, these subconscious thoughts make up more than the thoughts that we're aware of, like, look at the red rose, I'm going to go buy a pregnancy test. So we have to work with these thoughts because they are truly running the show. So that's kind of the link between mindset and fertility.
Mhm. And I love that you brought up the
Mm,
idea of kind of connecting back with your body and how like we don't even say like breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. It just happens. We don't say like, well, sometimes I have to say I'm going to the bathroom because I have two kids and I have to announce my exit. And then they usually follow me, but we don't think about things like
right.
that. We just do, right? And through the
Exactly.
fertility experience, so often that connection with our body is just continuously being severed a little bit more and a little bit more as women want to distance themselves and we start to not trust our body because we feel that lack of capability in that arena. So it's almost easier to just not acknowledge than to go deeper. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle with the mindset work, is that distrust of their own bodies after,
Yes,
even just a couple months, you start to feel that sometimes, right?
totally. Totally. And, there's we live in a masculine world, like work, go, get it done, da, da, da. And a lot of what makes us divinely feminine is not honored. Like, you know, hold your body, give your body a hug, listen to your cycle. How does your body feel in this moment? Every part of the like fertility cycle, the menstrual cycle, we're like at work on our computers answering texts. So we're very disconnected from our body, right? So even just like the first beautiful thing we can do to tune back in, even just once a day before you go to bed, when you wake up, place a hand on your heart, place a hand on your belly, and just witness the rise and fall of your chest and belly. Like, give yourself a moment to tune back into your body because we are trained to be outward facing. But everything magical in life, like, it starts from the inside, right? Connection to our hearts, connection to our bodies, connection, all that good stuff. So that is something that really can help to change the narrative to be like, okay, body, let's get to know each other again.
Mhm, mhm. And
Mm,
I am someone that needs to practice that
okay.
personally, especially because I have been very like go, 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 fast, fast,
Yeah.
fast. And now I'm like, okay, like I
Yeah.
haven't been living in alignment with how I should be living. And how do I reconnect back with myself? And so for me, and this
Mhm.
is something I've told some of my clients to start doing as well, is I don't have a very like rigid morning routine. I'm not someone that gets up and is like, okay, now I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes and journal for 10 and have my coffee and like do the same steps every single day, which I know a lot of coaches and influencers are out there saying like, this is your magic, morning routine. We do this every day. We set ourselves up for success. But what works for me and what helps me to practice that reconnection is I ask myself, like,
Yes.
what do I need today? What do I need in this moment?
Beautiful.
And it's always a little bit different. And some days it really is just, can I just like sit for 10 minutes after I take the kids to school in silence and like pretend like I'm starting my day over and like start fresh?
Yes.
Or am I going to go and like crush my workout, sit in front of my red light, meditate and journal? Like,
Mhm.
what feels good for me in this moment? What does my body need? And that's how I reconnect with just continuously asking myself, what do you need? What do you need?
So
What do
good.
you need? Because we
So
don't
good.
do that
We
anymore,
don't.
right?
No. Like, what does the person at the top of my email inbox need, right?
Yeah, exactly. Who have I not texted back today that I
Which
should probably get back to?
so weird. And yeah, you make a good point there, right? Because what we need truly, truly, truly is we need the intersection of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. So the masculine will say, today I have to, whatever, take deep breaths, drink water, exercise, blah, 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 blah. That's order. That's like all
Yeah.
the things we have to do.
The
And the
structure.
Exactly. And the divine feminine says, let me be in flow. So, what I do to kind of find the fusion of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, so that I'm not just sitting in a garden all day and I'm getting things done, right? Just laying there naked with like leaves on my boobs, right? I say to myself, okay, the top 5 things I'm going to set the intention for today are, so maybe this is something you learned from Dr. Kelsey, or like, I need to have plenty of water for cervical fluid. Cool. Got to set that intention. But it might not be at 7:01 a.m. after you dry brushed your skin, right? Like it might be like, okay, I just had a moment of pause, water. So if we can set the intention without the rigidity, sometimes it kind of gives our nervous system a chance to relax and know we are taking the important steps. And I think that, as we know, stress is a major player in fertility. So sometimes it's like, oh my God, drink the water, take the supplements, do the fertility, put my bum in the air, like, and we're so stressed about it that none of that stuff matters. So we have to find a way to get the structure in a state that feels a lot more fluid. And just be an observer of your day. Like, be like, okay, usually at 2:30, there's a little bit of a pause. What's something I could integrate there in a flow state, right? And start to get that more orderly side achieved in that way.
I really like that. I want everyone to write that down because it's so, I see this all the time with my clients. They're like, okay, I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to do this. And Kelsey told me this and you have to do that. And I'm like, yes, there's a lot of things. Yes. Like, let's just acknowledge for a second, if you have a complex fertility case and we're starting from scratch, like, yeah, there's a lot of big changes that have to happen, but how can we twist that narrative ever
Yeah.
so slightly to
Yeah.
make it feel more in flow, more feminine, more like something I get to do for
Yeah.
myself,
Yeah.
and almost like take the fertility goal out of the picture. Like that's what I like to teach my clients sometimes is like, remember, this is also for you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
your body and your health is so important. Yes, we're working on a goal.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm going to do like whatever the F I can to get you there. But at the
Totally.
same time, like we need to check in with the present moment. And the
Mhm.
present moment is also you right now living this experience. How do we connect with that? Because we'll have more validation in that arena than, a cycle ends and it wasn't positive and now we think everything we did was a failure. But were you sleeping better that month?
Yeah.
Did you have more energy that month? Did you
Mhm.
eat better? Did you, reconnect with a friend that you haven't been able to see? Or did you pick up a hobby again? Like those small wins
Yeah.
that we're so quick to say weren't worth it are
Mhm.
so important in the mindset realm to like keep going and to give you that like fuel that you need, right?
Oh yeah, and there's something in this idea of manifestation or creating your own world where manifestation happens most often when you don't need your desire to be happy. Okay.
Mhm.
So, and I'll tell a bit of my fertility story later. So I know how hard that is to disconnect from, to be like, I don't need this to be happy. But what you're saying is when you show up and you ask yourself every single day, how can I step into my higher self today? Feel more nourished with these vitamins, be moving in a way that makes my body feel good, drinking the water to feel vital, connecting with a friend, bringing that inflammation down in my body. And when you're so in love with the process of becoming your higher self through all these different like wellness channels, most often that's when the body feels safe, relaxes, and you're not so attached to a specific desire that you're like gripped into trying and control your own life. And I say that with so much empathy, love, and patience because I've been there, crying over a stick. Like I get it. And I had to take myself to a different place mentally and physically to make the journey work, a better one, a more peaceful one. So
Mhm.
yeah, detaching from the desire in a way that You don't need it. Like, you know it's there. You know it's there and you know it's coming and you can hold the vision.
The desire's not gone.
It's not gone. It's
Yeah.
not gone. It's just you're not so super glued to it that you're like, being like whipped through the wind with like, oh my God, I can't hold on to this journey. So
Right.
hold the vision, even though you can't see it, and then focus on a different type of feeling. Like, every day I'm feeling like my higher self. I can see the goal coming, even though I don't have tangible proof. Those are massive, massive, massive mindset shifts for the fertility journey.
How would you recommend someone, because this is something we actually get asked a lot, is
Sure.
how do you hold the vision? How do you trust that that piece is coming? How do you detach from the outcome without having the physical proof, the more maybe like more masculine energy behind it to back it up?
Totally. Okay. So, big one. I held a vision before I had my 2 babies, and I could see my babies on the beach, and the sun was shining down, and the ocean was sparkling, and there was like warmth on my body, right? I could feel my life with these babies in it. Like, and this is something really big with manifestation. You have to be able to tap into the feeling. Like, you're looking around you, you can see, what do you smell, what do you see, what do you hear, like feel the vision. So it's like, it's almost like you're already living it, you're teaching your physiology, right? So I could hold that vision, right? But here's the piece, this is where the humanness kicks in. On really hard days, I couldn't get to the vision really fast. So here's the thing, on the days you can't get to the vision, what is one small action you can take to raise your vibration? Okay. So sometimes, truly, 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 some days that meant doing nothing. It meant getting on a blanket, going under the covers, having a really nourishing drink, maybe watching some OC, whatever. But the next day, I'm like, what is one thing I can do to elevate my state today? And I'd pick something that gives me radical joy, like taking a walk, swimming, hula hooping, putting on a song that every single time it gets me. Like, some of these country songs just get me feeling so good, right? So it's not about, we're human. We're not going to be able to feel perfect every day. And that makes you human. That makes you normal. Even Oprah has like, everyone is going to have some sort of limiting belief, right? So that's the path that kind of helps. It's like, on the really good days, just play the vision like a movie reel. How does it feel in your body? Connect to the sights, connect to the sounds, teach your physiology as if you're already living it. And on those days that just stink and suck, like maybe your coworker made a really shitty comment, like, hey, are you ever going to have a baby? Like, maybe you just don't feel good. It's like, what do I need in this moment? As soon as I can, what is the next thing I can do to elevate my vibrational state, right? Journal on that right now. What elevates my vibrational state?
Yeah.
And then you kind of have this little like clue, this path to guide you back. And the epic manifestors in life and the epic mindset people, it's not about having low thoughts, because we all have them. It's how quickly can you get back to where you want to be. So it's about becoming, I love this word of an alchemist, where you can kind of just turn it into gold, turn it into gold, turn it into gold. So that's my thoughts on how to navigate back onto the path.
And another question we get quite a bit
Yes.
is, how do you hold the vision without getting your hopes up? Like, how would you coach someone through that piece? Because I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of my clients struggle with sort of separating that piece of like belief and vision casting. And then when it doesn't happen that cycle, they feel even more taken down by that. So they almost don't want to visualize it. You know what I mean?
Yep. Okay. Simple. Don't make it bad. Don't judge yourself for it. Because there's a piece there where you're like, this is so bad that I'm mad that I made the vision and now I don't believe in the vision. Don't make it bad. Just be like, I'm just riding the wave. I'm just riding the wave. And it it makes you normal, right? This idea of getting your hopes up. So I mean, after I had a chemical pregnancy and a miscarriage, I was in my bathroom and I just got a positive test and I had so much emotion. I was just like scared, terrified, struggling with hope. I'm like, I have so much rawness in this moment. I don't even know what to do with it. Right. And rather than villainize it or make it bad, I was like, I'm just going to sit with this and I'm going to let it be seen. I'm going to let you be seen fear. I'm going to let you be seen disappointment. I'm going to, there's 10% excitement. I'm going to let you be seen too, even though I'm scared for you to be seen. And I just sat with it in the bathroom and I let the tears flow and I let all the emotions rise up. And I just kind of looked at each one of them and said, yeah, you're really valid. You're really valid. You're super valid, just sitting with all these emotions. You're all welcome. You're all welcome today. I don't need to be just excited or just scared. I can welcome this beautiful mosaic of feelings. And then I said to myself, what is one thing I can believe in right now? Even if I can't believe that this is the pregnancy that's going to hold yet, what is one thing I can believe right now? And
Mhm.
I looked outside the window, like, I literally could tear up even just talking about this. And there's this beautiful old tree in the Toronto beaches outside my window. And it was so beautiful and so strong. And I said, I believe that that is the most beautiful tree I've ever seen, and it's mesmerizing. And that's all I needed in that moment was something to believe in and just letting everything else flow. So there's something there where we make our fear or our disappointment really, really bad. But
Yeah.
it's like, it's not. This is just part of the journey. And here's the thing, when you are a mother and you have this beautiful baby in your arms, all these similar emotions are going to keep coming up over and over:
Mhm.
fear, disappointment, sadness, joy. Like the roller coaster continues through life. So
Yeah.
it's almost like this commitment: I'm going to become a skillful sailor in this moment because I know that the journey doesn't end here, right?
Mhm. So
And
true.
yeah, just riding that wave. And that's kind of the summary. Don't make it bad. Let every emotion have a seat at the table and look it in the eyes and say, "Thank you for being here. What do you want me to know?" And
Mhm.
then choose, what's the emotion I want when I move through all this disappointment, you know? Well, choose again. Choose again. That's something Gabby Bernstein always says is, what emotion do I want to take forward after all this disappointment? And then remind yourself that these emotions are going to come up all through life. So there's an opportunity here to become an even more wise human. So that when you're holding that baby in your arms, they have the wisest mother on the planet, because this mother was able to navigate a heck ton of trickiness at this fertility juncture, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Totally. I
Yeah.
love the idea of like chunking it down into smaller pieces because I think that's like very on brand for us over here is like, okay, it sounds like a lot, but how do we like bite off a little bit at a time so that it's not overwhelming? And I
Mhm.
really think it's important to circle back to like all of your feelings being valid and the idea that having a positive mindset, like you said at the beginning, it doesn't mean you have positive thoughts 24/7. It means when the negative thoughts come into play, you have the skills and tools to process those emotions and work through them. And you'll see yourself getting quicker at it and figuring out, okay, what do I need to feel grateful when I come out of this cloud? Because that's what's going to continue to pull you up into that
Yes.
higher purpose, right?
That's a really nice visual you just painted. I really like the cloud. It's like a murky little cloud and you're all swept up in it. And it's like, you know what? Tomorrow it's gonna clear and I'm gonna be okay. And then I'm gonna be less scared of clouds because I'm just gonna be like, jumping on these soft clouds. It's like today's a harder cloud and then an easier cloud. And then it might be a harder cloud for a bit. Then you're gonna get wiser again and an easier cloud, right?
And then it's just a fog.
Yeah, yeah, and there's foggy periods, and you're like, "Whoa, what the F is going on?"
Everyone's going to be like, okay, weather, like, how did this happen?
Right? And sometimes,
Oh,
like,
cool.
for people listening who are visual, they need this visual. It's like,
Right. Yeah.
or this is something that you can like hold on to.
Mhm.
And yeah, but all that to say, like, please know if you're feeling these feelings currently, they are so, 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 so valid. Like, they're so valid. And, like, truly, there's nothing more emotional than wanting a little baby and being told by the universe, hey, you're going to have to wait a bit. Your friend didn't have to wait.
Mhm.
Right. And it's kind of like, of course, you're going to be emotional. So
Mhm.
sometimes it's like, before you even do all these steps, give yourself a giant hug and be like, I'm so allowed to have these feelings. I love you. I love you. I love you. Just hug, 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 hug. Of course, I desire this. This is like so magical. And when it happens, I'm going to feel so much joy. So, of course, you feel this way. I love you.
Mhm.
Simple. Validate, validate, validate. We're
Mhm.
not about spiritual bypassing here.
Yeah.
You'll never catch me saying all good vibes. Everything happens for a reason. I actually can't really stand when people say in any juncture of life, everything happens for a reason. Because it's like, yeah, maybe like a few years from now, you can look back and be like, okay, I can see the lesson there. But often that takes it's our own heart, our own time, our own journey. So no one has the I just don't think anyone should be saying to anyone else, oh, that happened to you for a reason, Kelsey.
Mhm.
So
And we hear that a lot in the fertility space, like,
mm,
"Oh, it'll like, your time will come. It's just not your time yet." And I'm like, "What does that even mean? Like, what does that mean? It's who's choosing?" Because
right?
you're not choosing.
Right?
So, and like,
Yeah.
we're not even really choosing,
No,
but we can't live in this cloud, for lack of a better word, of
yeah.
assuming that we're just waiting to be given
Sure.
something, right? Like, and taking it back to the process of manifestation, which I've always struggled with. How do we rope this into fertility without people making people feel bad about themselves or worse? But I think, leaning into what does it feel in this moment and how can I feel that in other areas of my life is how we kind of keep that loop moving forward and keep
Yes.
that loop closed,
Yeah.
and allow ourselves to work through the shitty parts of it, because the reality is there's a lot of shitty parts. Like, it's not
Yeah.
awesome for a lot of people, but the people that it's not awesome for don't really talk about it all that much. We only hear the good, easy experiences, especially, 5 years ago. I would say
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
the, the openness is coming. More celebrities and influencers are sharing, people are talking about it on social media and in louder ways, that it's helping couples to not feel as alone. But there's still, like, I still have clients that come in and work with us that are like, I haven't told, none of my family or friends know that we're struggling. We've been struggling for like 18 months. I can't talk to anybody about it. And I'm like, here's your community. There's like hundreds of women here that know
Sure.
exactly what you're going through. And
Exactly.
if you get nothing else from this experience, I know that that's valuable, because
Yeah.
the community aspect of validating your feelings when you're not getting that,
Yeah.
in your personal life is so important.
And I'm sure a lot of the reason people don't share the struggle is because so many people are very disconnected from their hearts and they say really awkward things and then it doesn't feel good, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, and Kelsey's groups and Instagram is very good at stuff like this, like sharing posts about like what are good things to say if someone tells you they're struggling with, you know, infertility or whatever. And there's things that are just super inappropriate. Like, if you have secondary infertility, it's like, oh, at least you have one. Like people really try and minimize their own discomfort and then they just make you feel worse. So that is the value of finding like minds, is people going through like-minded stuff, is they get it and they're going to be more nurturing and more loving, right? Because
Mhm.
we can't change Aunt Joanne's like really, you know,
Screw you, Aunt Joanne.
Aunt Joanne, like inappropriate Christmas comment that had you in tears in the closet.
How would you recommend someone responds in that moment?
Mhm, mhm. Okay, well, here's the thing.
Or like, maybe not their
Yeah,
response, but like, how could they work through that,
yeah.
on their own space, in their own space?
Okay, here's the thing. for a lot of us have suffered with people pleasing, so it's very uncomfortable to give any sort of response.
Mhm.
So a guided post that I give to my clients, and it's worked well for me personally as well, is can I find a way to lovingly, assertively, boundaried, and gracefully talk to this person? Because you don't necessarily need to shame them for not knowing, but
Mhm.
you need to put a line in the sand there and be like, this is where I am, this is where you are. That was not okay, right? Um, so here's something that's worked well for me and my clients, and you can modify it. You can make it more, tough guy, or you can soften it even more. Very simple. Thank you for asking. This is something I'm holding really close to my heart right now. So I'm not going to chat about it today, but thanks for asking. So it's like, you know, we can acknowledge that maybe there's a bit of genuine excitement there to like know what's up in your life. They care about you, even though it was weird, right? So you can say thank you.
Mhm.
And the boundary is saying, this is my medical journey, my heart, my space, and I won't be sharing or speaking about that today. So, which I think is totally appropriate. And
Yeah.
sometimes when we're caught so off guard by these comments, we can get like very like brute, or like, why the fuck would you talk to me about that? And later your higher self wishes you didn't do that. So I
Mhm.
think, just go over common questions and how would you want to respond? Do you want to just give a loving response? Do you want to say a little bit more like, that's not up for discussion right now? If it's someone that's got a bit of a more bull and just, you know, if it's
Mhm.
like an aunt I know has a good intention, I will say thanks for asking. And
Yeah.
so I think give it a bit of forethought, because when we're in the emotional moment, we can, like anything, like we can just be a little blunt or say something we don't mean.
Yeah.
And it's just an invitation for everyone that there is in life a way to hold loving boundaries. And what would your loving boundary look like? So maybe that's a journal prompt for listeners.
Yeah, and I think prepping, that's something we always remind our clients around holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter. Is like, okay, remember, if you're like heading into the lion's den with your well-meaning family, like have your response prepped and practiced so that you don't feel taken,
Yeah.
right out of left field or whatever that have like whatever that is, and make it yours. Like, are
Yeah.
you someone who's going to be more assertive? Are you someone who's going to just kind of like laugh it off? But then after,
Yeah.
you need to actually like do some work to process that. So we're not then ruminating on that shit comment, the whole holiday season. Cause I know that's what definitely was happening like in my life with various things, not just around the fertility space, but
Yeah.
I am also a very still recovering people pleaser. And,
Same.
trying to just be like my polite little self. And then I'd just be angry for like
Yeah.
weeks. I'd be thinking about this conversation. I'd be ruminating about this conversation. I'd be like so upset. And this was, long before I discovered how I needed to help myself, process and
Totally.
emotionally regulate. And so I think, especially around the holiday season, that can be so 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 tricky to navigate with family. It's like, what
It's
are your
so tough.
boundaries? Yeah, and like practice what you're going to
Practice.
say, as dumb as that sounds. Like, it's so
Yeah.
much better to have this like auditioned practice response and be
Totally.
able to just hold your ground. And then what do you need after those moments to energetically rebalance yourself? Like, do
Well
you
put.
need to be alone for 30 minutes? Do you need to go and do something fun? Like, do you and your partner need to
Totally.
go and like spend 30 minutes doing something super fun that's just like just for you guys? Or like, you
Yes.
need to spread out your dinners so that it's not like as like heavy in the moment. Like, these are times where we're so used to people pleasing and
Yeah.
we feel obligated, but I also think we have to be selfish, especially if we're in the thick of a fertility journey. Like, you and
Right.
your energy needs to come first always, not your
Oh, so
grams.
true. So true. And like, be be creative. Like maybe it's like halfway through the dinner to rebalance your energy. You can take a quick walk outside. You can deactivate the emotional parts of the brain and get back into like, easier parts of um the processing. like the mental processing of it all. And here's the thing, even if you're not ready to really lay down the law, my early trick was change the subject. Oh, sorry, so and so spilled their gravy. So it's a trajectory here. And if you're really uncomfortable with laying a boundary, which I get, that's where some people are at. We're not going to judge that.
Yeah.
Change the subject. You
Yeah.
know, there's stuff that's more intermediary skills that you can just tap into in the moment with the end goal, because it will serve your health, of establishing more boundaries, right? So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
I love how this took like a mad turn into boundary setting, but I think it's
Yeah,
so
it's so key.
important.
It's so key because, again, picturing yourself once you have your baby, you'll have other boundaries to establish. Hey, can you please wash your hands before you hold my baby? Very uncomfortable. I still feel uncomfortable. People I love like insinuating they're dirty or something. I had to shift that.
Did you have a full shower before you walked in my door?
Have a change of clothes.
You can step over there in our hazmat suit closet and just robe up. Yeah. Well, you had a pandemic baby, so like that was, that was
I
different.
had to.
Yeah.
And I still have certain boundaries that I'm laying down. And guess what? It is uncomfortable, but the people who love you will see and understand. So
Mhm.
it's we were taught as women to be the martyrs, the backbenders, the sacrificers. But if we want to pave a new path for our daughters, sisters, we need to change this. We need to be establishing boundaries that maintain our health and happiness, right?
And I think that, it's a full circle moment to say that probably one of the biggest pieces of working on your mindset is getting comfortable with setting boundaries with people, setting boundaries with how you are willing to treat yourself, and
Mhm.
all variations in between, because we're such habitual people. If we're just stuck in these habit ruts,
Yeah.
we need to look at how do we make changes. And a lot of that's not just how do I eat less sugar? How do I go to bed earlier? It's about sometimes setting hard boundaries with toxic people in our lives, and toxic habits that we have in our households as well, and
Totally.
holding them.
And you know what? This is what I spend most of my coaching sessions with women doing, is like there's a thought or a behavior or a family lineage thing that was taught, and we get so fixated on that that we actually can't move forward,
Mhm.
right? So when you have a limiting belief in one area of your life, like I have to backbend for everyone, right? It's going to saturate into every single thing you do. Your business is going to be affected because you're not leading, you're just doing what everyone else wants. Your relationship, your friendships, your finances. So, and often we can't see our own limiting beliefs. But if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling stagnant, like I'm not moving forward, or you're getting really frustrated, often those are clues that there's a limiting belief that's just not working for you, right? So we need to make mindset thing as prevalent of a conversation as brushing your teeth. Mindset hygiene. How are your thoughts today? 90% of what we run through our head is garbage, just by
Mhm.
virtue of being human, right? So if that's running all day, what are we telling our health? What are
Yeah.
we telling ourselves before we go to have sex to have a baby?
Mhm.
Right? What's being planted all around your life and you don't even know it. So
Yeah.
the mindset piece
Sure.
is absolutely massive.
And on that wonderful kind of like finishing bow
Yeah.
moment, I feel, what is one piece of advice that you'd love to leave for our listeners who are just like in the thick of their fertility journey right now?
Oh, I feel like this one again could stir up the tear ducts, but you are whole. You are a whole woman and you are perfect. And, you might be finding imbalances in your blood work or, certain things that are coming up on your fertility journey, but you are whole and perfect and you will create from that place. And your essence in this world is important and you are going to leave an impact on this earth in many, many ways. So often in this journey, we can feel like our identity rests on a stick, and it doesn't. You are whole, beautiful, and perfect. And the universe truly is working with you in the most divine timing. So give yourself those daily hugs, tune back into your body, and remind yourself how innately beautiful you are by the essence of every breath you take. So self love, self love, self love. Yeah.
I love that so much. Emily, thank you so much for hanging out I will definitely have to have you back. We'll have to have our kid episode.
I love it. Let's get these
For
babies.
sure.
That's fun.
And I will talk to you soon. Okay.
Thank you, Kelsey. This was an absolute pleasure.